right, we're back with travel advisor Ginny Moorer. She's answering all of your travel related questions. All right, this person's asking, I'm very interested in traveling to Cuba. Is there a way to visit the country?
Right now, there is not. Only if you're going for educational reasons primarily. There are a couple other little loopholes, but primarily just educational.
Okay. This next question is, are there cruise lines that you can make and do a payment plan?
Yes. So almost every single cruise line does offer that option. But what people don't realize is that generally you pay a deposit at an average $250 per person, and then you do not pay anything else until final payment is due. It ranges between 60 and 90 days. But if you want to make additional payments, you can always do that.
Okay. What happens if you get COVID on the cruise?
So again, depending on where you are and your destination, what would happen is most cruise lines are great as far as they will put you in an isolated cabin, and they don't put you in the bottom of the ship in an inside cabin. They do their best to give you a nice balcony cabin so you can get some fresh air. They provide all your meals and they take care of you until you can get to a port where you can get home.
Okay. This question is going to be kind of hard to answer, but I think we can give some just parameters. This person says, what about travel insurance for someone ages 55 to 70? I was looking at a trip and insurance cost was nearly $500 for $50,000 in medical coverage in Europe. Is this a typical cost? And I guess that all kind of depends on if that includes your flight or a cruise line. Is it 2 weeks? Is it 3 weeks? Is it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, off the top of my head, as a general rule, it sounds a little bit high. I would say for an average week to 10 days, I would expect that from, now if once you hit that threshold, of about 75, the age makes a big difference. But if you're in that 55 to 60-year range, you should only be looking at about $300 maximum.
Okay. And then what is the threshold for getting travelers insurance? Is it the $500 flight down to Florida? Is it the $700 flight across the pond plus all the hotels?
So if you're going internationally, I always say you should always have it, because while you may not think you need it for cancellation purposes, I hear people say all the time, I'm going to go no matter what. But if you're out of the country and something happens and you need medical or you need to get back, those costs can be exorbitant. So you really kind of have to look at all those pieces and parts. I see it every day where people don't take the travel insurance and then they're out sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Okay. I just recently had a friend traveling overseas and their passports were stolen. So when that happens, what do you do?
So you would want to always, before you travel, take a picture of your passport, but you would actually just need to contact the U.S. Embassy for whatever country you are in, and they can help you get it back.
This person's asking, does a child, if under 16, need a passport?
Yes, everyone from to travel internationally would need a passport from age day one.
All right, and then what about on cruises? Do you always need a passport to go on a cruise?
So you do not. There are some, it's called a closed loop cruise where you start and end in the same place in the United States. However, if you're going to do that, it must be an original state issued birth certificate with a matching driver's license. And just know that, again, if you get, let's say, to the Bahamas and something happens and you don't have that passport, it's going to be very, very difficult to fly back to the United States. The only legal way you can come back is on the actual same ship that you left on.
Okay, let's talk about travel for the holidays. Is it still possible to travel for the holidays? Are there still things that are open?
If you're flexible, yes, it is possible.
And are we looking at any specific places that seem like they're good, or places that oh my gosh, these places are booked, don't go to these locations because they're crazy?
Yeah, so really and truly right now for Christmas, we're looking at Caribbean is hot. And I would not suggest right now looking at Europe for the holidays. It's going to be, your air alone is outrageous to get to Europe over the holidays. And most of what you would be doing there is, sold out. We're finding a hard time getting hotels and things like that in Europe.
Gotcha, the events. All right, the next time we have you on, we'll be just talking about spring break because we already just want to look ahead for that. All right, folks, if you missed any of this information, you can find it all on our website. It's in the 2 Wants to Know section.